Now that Wicked Part 1 is in theaters, viewers new and old must be wondering how everything connects to The Wizard of Oz. Well, we've got you covered. We'll mainly be focusing on the material that we know from the films. Since there are differences between the films, the musicals, and the source material, we've decided to simplify it a bit. And yes, we know Wicked Part 2 hasn't released in theaters yet, but we know the broad strokes of things based off of the musicals, which the films are based off of, so we're going to go by that. Anyway, here is our approximation of the Wicked and Wizard of Oz timeline. Let's go. The Wizard's Rise. Oscar Diggs is a circus magician skilled in illusion and sleight of hand trickery. Because of this, he's known as Oz the Great Magician. While this brings the crowds and cheers, Oscar wants more in life. One day, as part of his performance, Oscar takes off in his hot air balloon, but is caught in a sudden storm. Helpless against the fierce winds, Oscar's balloon is sent higher and higher until it drifts down below to a land far beyond anything Oscar Diggs can ever imagine. The people of this strange place watch as Oscar's balloon slowly lands. Never having seen anything like it before, the people of the land believe that Oscar is a powerful wizard sent from the skies to save them. Oscar, ever the opportunist, knows exactly what he has to do and declares that he is indeed the wizard they have been waiting for, calling himself Oz the Great and Powerful. Oscar eventually settles in the Emerald City. He doesn't have any true magical powers, so he creates machines that help maintain the illusion of magic. His throne room features a giant mechanical face to speak to the citizens of Oz as the Wizard, while he hides behind a curtain to disguise his true self. As the years pass, the wizard uses his cunning to lead the people, including instituting policies that help maintain control. These policies persecute animals, stripping them of their rights and eventually rendering them literally voiceless. He believes that if people have one singular enemy to go against, it'll unite them, and that this is a necessity for the maintenance of peace. Additionally, the wizard goes on to employ a cohort in the name of Madame Morrible, a powerful sorceress with a specialty in weather. While on the surface, Oz seems like a wonderful place, beneath it lie deepening divisions, and that illusion of peace soon bursts. Elphaba's childhood. Frexpar marries Melina Throp, the heiress to the noble Throp family. Discontent with their love life, Melina has flings with random lovers. One night, the Wizard of Oz visits Melina's household, and the two make love. Several months later, Elphaba is born in Munchkinland as a result of Melina drinking a mysterious green elixir during pregnancy, one given to her by the wizard. Elphaba's skin is green, making her an outcast from birth. Years later, Melina and Frexpar have a second child, Nessa Rose. However, Melina passes away due to complications during childbirth. Additionally, Nessa Rose is born with a disability, rendering her unable to walk. Regardless, Frexpar adores Nessa Rose, and Nessa Rose becomes the focus of Frexpar's attention, while Elphaba is neglected. Despite the challenges of being an outcast, Elphaba is intelligent, resilient, and shows an aptitude for magic. Elphaba is also protective of her younger sister, and as they grow up, Elphaba forms a close bond with Nessa Rose. Shiz University. Nessa Rose is admitted into Shiz University. Elphaba joins Frexpar to see Nessa Rose off. While at the entrance, Elphaba is met with stares due to her green skin. One other student, Galinda Upland of the Upper Uplands, even goes as far as to suggest curing her of this imperfection, to which Elphaba retorts, causing a bit of a scene. This causes Frexpar to discipline Elphaba for her actions before refocusing his attention on Nessa Rose. As a parting gift, Frexpar gives Nessa Rose a beautiful pair of silver slippers. Before they leave, Frexpar requests that Elphaba join Nessa Rose to make sure everything is good before they leave. As Elphaba joins up with Nessa Rose, complications start to arise. One of the professors, Mrs. Caudle, tries to help Nessa Rose despite the latter's protests. This angers Elphaba to the point that she lashes out with magic. This catches the attention of Madame Morrible, who's the Dean of Sorcery Studies at Shiz. Morrible offers to tutor Elphaba privately, to which Elphaba accepts in hopes of giving her the chance to meet the wizard. Since Elphaba wasn't originally going to be a student at Shiz, she doesn't have a room to dorm in, so Madame Morrible asks the crowd for volunteers to share a room with Elphaba. Galinda unknowingly volunteers, thinking it was an offer to join Miss Morrible's class as well, much to her chagrin. Elphaba and Galinda's initial relationship is marked by animosity, as Galinda constantly mocks Elphaba's appearance and personality. However, Elphaba and Galinda eventually form an unlikely friendship. The turning point is the party at the Ozdust Ballroom. Prince Fiyero joins the school and invites Galinda to the party. Regardless, Bach, a Munchkin student with a thing for Galinda, still tries to ask Galinda to the party. However, Galinda turns his attention to Nessa Rose. Nessa Rose tells Elphaba that Galinda is the reason why she and Bog are together, and Elphaba starts to see Galinda in a new light. Because of this, Elphaba goes to Madame Morrible and asks her to give Galinda a chance in her class. While Galinda prepares to go to the party, Elphaba returns to their dorm. Galinda takes this moment to invite Elphaba to join the party and even offers her a hat for her to wear. A few hours later, while at the party, Madame Morrible shows up and gives Galinda a training wand, telling her that it was Elphaba who told her to do it. While they speak, Elphaba enters the ballroom and everyone stares, laughing at what she's wearing. While Elphaba stays strong, Galinda sees right through her facade and witnesses the pain that she had caused Elphaba, despite the latter giving her a chance to join Madame Morrible's class. Galinda comforts Elphaba, and they both share a dance, deepening their friendship. The next day, Dr. Dillamond, a goat professor at Chiz, is forced into retirement as animals are no longer allowed to teach. Guards escort him from the classroom, and his replacement, a cruel professor, attempts to experiment on a frightened lion cub. Elphaba and Fiyero rescue the cub, releasing it into the forest. Sharing this special moment together makes Elphaba realize her feelings for Fiyero. However, she can't chase them. Soon, Elphaba receives a summons from the wizard, who's heard of her talents. Glinda, now Glinda, renaming herself in honor of Dr. Dillamond, accompanies her. In the Emerald City, they go through all of the little nooks and crannies and revel in their friendship before meeting the wizard. During their meeting with the wizard, Elphaba tells him her one wish, to help the animals. When given the chance to prove her powers to the wizard, she reads the Grimoire in hopes to help the wizard's monkey guard, but is horrified when her spell, at Morrible's urging, painfully gives the wizard's monkeys wings. Realizing the truth about the wizard, that he's powerless and is behind the persecution of animals, she flees in disgust. Glinda pleads with Elphaba to reconcile, but Elphaba resolves to fight the wizard's tyranny. Enchanting a broomstick, she escapes, defying Morrible and the wizard's forces. Determined and fearless, Elphaba flies west to challenge the corrupt system and fight for justice. Meanwhile, as the people of Oz hear about the events unfolding in the Emerald City, Frexpar dies, leaving Nessa Rose heartbroken. A wicked witch is born. Alright, so quick note before we go on, Wicked Part 2 hasn't been released in theaters, so we will be taking key moments from Wicked's second act, the musical's second act, and intertwining it with the events of The Wizard of Oz. Years after their father Frexpar dies, Nessa Rose becomes governor of Munchkinland, ruling harshly in an attempt to keep Bok by her side. Elphaba visits her, enchanting Nessa's silver shoes so that she can walk, but when Bok tries to leave, having felt that he's no longer in need, Nessa's botched attempts to use a love spell shrinks his heart instead of making him madly in love with her. Elphaba tries to save him, but this turns him into a tin man, and he flees in despair. Meanwhile, Elphaba's rebellion against the wizard earns her the title the Wicked Witch of the West, while Glinda becomes the celebrated Good Witch and the wizard's spokesperson. Fiyero, now captain of the guard, searches for Elphaba, but is frustrated when Madame Morrible announces his engagement to Glinda without his consent. Elphaba returns to the Emerald City to free the wizard's enslaved monkeys. The wizard admits he's an ordinary man, but fails to win her trust when she discovers her mentor, Dr. Dillamond, had been permanently silenced. Fiyero helps her escape, leaving Glinda heartbroken as he chooses Elphaba over her. Around this time, some major construction projects take place around Oz, such as some renovations to Emerald City and work done on the iconic yellow brick road. Meanwhile, somewhere in Kansas, Dorothy Gale lives with her Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. Dorothy's dog Toto has an encounter with the spiteful Miss Elmira Gulch and bites her. Sometime later, Miss Gulch visits Dorothy's house, demanding they give her Toto so she can take him to the police. As Miss Gulch rides off on her bike, Toto escapes. To ensure that Toto is safe, Dorothy runs away from home with Toto. While they're away, they meet Professor Marvel, a traveling fortune teller, who convinces Dorothy to return home, saying her Aunt Em is heartbroken. Back in Oz, Glinda unknowingly helps Madame Morrible and the wizard devise a plan to trap Elphaba. With her powers, Madame Morrible conjures up a deadly tornado. In Kansas, Dorothy returns to the farmhouse, but a deadly storm has already developed in the area. Dorothy takes shelter in the house, where she's knocked unconscious as the tornado carries it away. In Oz, the tornado kills Nessa Rose when it causes a house to fall on her. Dorothy emerges from the house to find herself in Munchkinland, surrounded by the grateful Munchkins, who celebrate her as a hero for ending Nessa Rose's oppressive rule. Through Glinda the Good Witch, Dorothy unknowingly becomes a pawn in the wizard's schemes, wearing Nessa's enchanted silver shoes given to her by Glinda. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. As Dorothy prepares to begin her journey to Oz, somewhere in the forest, Elphaba and Fiyero meet in secrecy and confess their love. However, when Elphaba feels something's wrong with Nessarose and learns of Nessarose's death, she confronts Glinda, angered that the latter had the audacity to give her dead sister's slippers to Dorothy. The two fight, but Fiyero intervenes to protect Elphaba, but gets captured by guards and taken away, presumably out to a field. In hopes of protecting Fiyero from any pain done by the guards, Elphaba casts a spell that would eventually transform Fiyero into a scarecrow. Dorothy, on the other hand, journeys down the Yellow Brick Road. Her first stop has her at a fork in the road. As she wonders which path to take, a scarecrow speaks to her. Dorothy lends the scarecrow a hand, and together they continue the journey down the Yellow Brick Road. Dorothy's next stop has her picking some apples. However, something catches her attention: a man made of tin. Dorothy and the scarecrow give the man some oil, allowing the Tin Man to move once more. The Tin Man joins in on their journey down the road. As the road takes the trio through the forest, they encounter a talking lion. While initially caught off guard and scared by the lion, Dorothy smacks the lion for trying to bite Toto, breaking the lion's facade and revealing the lion's cowardly nature. The lion then decides to join the crew to meet the wizard. While Dorothy continues the journey down the road with her companions, Elphaba captures Dorothy, bringing her to Kiamoko Castle, hoping to reclaim the shoes. Glinda arrives to warn Elphaba that she's in danger, and the two friends take a moment to reconcile in a tearful goodbye. Glinda watches in the distance as Dorothy throws water on Elphaba, causing her to appear to melt, leaving only her hat and a green bottle of elixir. From this point on, things are a little up in the air with how it fits into the timeline, but we'll try anyway. From the green bottle, Glinda ascertains that the wizard is Elphaba's father and banishes him from Oz, arresting Morrible and taking leadership of the land. Meanwhile, Dorothy and co. eventually meet with the wizard on their own after successfully liquidating the Wicked Witch, only for Toto to reveal that the wizard is hiding behind a curtain and is a fraud all along. The wizard explains how he got to Oz in the first place and offers Dorothy a way back to Kansas on his hot air balloon. As they prepare to leave, Toto jumps out of the hot air balloon just as it's about to take off, making Dorothy jump out as well. The wizard, unable to stop the balloon now that it's started to take off, leaves Dorothy behind. Glinda reappears and reveals to Dorothy that she's always had the power to return home, she just had to find out herself. Using the slippers given to her by Glinda, Dorothy taps her heels 3 times, chanting, "There's no place like home," as she does it, and is transported back to Kansas. Afterwards, in secret, Fiyero, who has been the scarecrow with Dorothy all along, returns to Kiamoko Castle and rescues Elphaba, who had faked her death with a trapdoor. The two escape Oz together, leaving Glinda to rule as the citizens celebrate the death of the Wicked Witch, never knowing the truth of her story. This then loops to the beginning of the Wicked musical, where a munchkin asks Glinda if she was friends with the Wicked Witch of the West. And scene. That's our attempt to piece together the Wicked and Wizard of Oz timeline. It ain't perfect, and we won't know for sure what happens in Wicked Part 2 until it premieres, so this is all approximation based off of what'll definitely happen. We'll be sure to update this next year once we get the full picture. Anyway, if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.